And we are live, I believe. Yes! Yay, at last.
Hi, Tommy.
Cherie, Gorringe, how are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's like this is the first time I'm introducing you on a live, and I can't believe that because we've known each other for a few years. And,
Yes.
as a superhuman futurist, you very much seem to be the superhuman futurist from very much a naturopathic, more organic side of life. So before we kind of dive into talking about the cutting edge health, holistic movement around frequency and energy medicine, give us a bit of your background as far as how and why you became a naturopath.
Well, Tommy, that's a big question, but I'll try and answer it succinctly so
Right.
we don't keep the viewers too long. Essentially, at the essence of who I am, I'm a truth seeker. So for me, my whole life has been, how do we get to the truth and the essence of who we are and why we're here? And so it led me down a path of self-exploration. Obviously, my belief is that we do have a holistic component to who we are that is spirit, mental, emotional, and physical. We're not just a meat suit, right? So for me, it was how do we understand how the physical body interplays with those other aspects of ourselves? So going on my own journey of trying to understand my physical body and why it does things the way it does led me to study epigenetics. It led me to study naturopathy. I became a mother of two, and that also took me down a path of self-discovery, one of the best ways that we can do it. So yeah, that's just what led me to what I'm doing now, is how do we be holistic beings in a world that is, trying to not bring us into holism.
Right. Okay. Well, and like your energy just astounds me. Having known Cherie for a while, it's like it's a nuclear reactor in this like pocket rocket sized gorgeous human being that just continually gives and gives and gives. And I know we sort of met through the epigenetic side, and you introduced me to a number of things, and some of these more edgy, but it seems to be going from edgy to becoming somewhat fact-based now. Practitioners like, Bruce Lipton, he's been doing epigenetic stuff, and he's like the father of epigenetics right now on the planet. Although back in the 30s, epigenetics came about, but he's certainly gone and proliferated the learning around that. Greg Braden, I remember that day we met, we're having coffee at the workshop last year on this epigenetic course that we were on. And who am I missing? Joe Dispenza, right? Another guy, which I love because he's all about measuring and using science as a platform, a sort of an a-religious, like non-religious platform that everybody kind of tends to trust and believe. And he's using science and showing how you can, through yourself, meditation, things like that, actually bring about change like in days. And he did it himself when he broke his back as a triathlete, when he was run over by an elderly lady driving an SUV into the track, and rebuilt his spine using his mind, which is mind-blowing. And so, yeah, you opened me up to that whole field of this. I was very much tech and health, but took me on this different angle and path, which is becoming proven, I guess is what I'm saying. And that just because you can't see things doesn't mean they're not so. So back to you. So where are we at now? Of all the naturopathic stuff, and there's lots of great holistic things that naturopaths bring to bear in wellness. But now we're starting to talk about this stuff like frequency and frequency medicine, and everything is energy and all that. Give us your read on this.
Yeah, Tommy, my read on this is that we've been brought up for the last couple of hundred years on Newtonian science. Newtonian science just means the fact that we're separate, we're not whole. It's a mechanistic view of the world, and we're moving into the new era of quantum science. Quantum science is a new language, and a lot of us haven't learned to speak it yet. But essentially, it's the language of that things aren't happening to us out there. We're starting to see now with what's going on in the world that there's a veil, and essentially the matrix is sort of, you know, quite palpable now for a lot of people, and it's moving into mass consciousness that we are more than just what's happening in society. We're coming back, we're learning to come back to who we truly are, and that is an inside job, right? So quantum science is allowing us to come back to who we truly are. And so what I see now is that frequency medicine and the research has been using Newtonian science to explain it with the language that we know and that we've learned at school. However, it's taking us that one step further, where we need to understand that we are more than just a body. There is a whole nother level and layer to our being. And when you go and sit in stillness and you tune in to that, you start to discover that you have more power than you ever knew was possible. So for using frequency is a way for me anyway to come back to myself, to actually start observing the entanglements that we have created through our experiences on this planet. So every time we think of somebody, whether it be we've just briefly met them, or whether they've played a major part in our lives, for instance, our mother, our father, our brother, our sister, we have quantum entanglements with those relationships or with those people. And the objective from a, you know, finding joy and peace and love and all of those higher vibration ways of being is about, you know, detangling yourself from the experiences that you've perceived as being good, bad, right, wrong, all of those things, right? So for me, frequency is about giving people medicine on a whole new level that we've never been able to really consciously access.
Wow. So you're talking about moving from, and you know, naturopaths are right across this, from nutraceuticals to like electroceuticals.
Absolutely. So we know, yeah, we know that there's a lot of evidence now driven by cell biologists. So if you think of Bruce Lipton, he was a cell biologist in the 70s, cloning stem cells, and he realized very quickly that the nucleus of the cell is actually not the brain of the cell, that the cell membrane is actually the brain of the cell, and it's actually got a voltage, and this voltage is what keeps us healthy. Okay, so if we have generally a negative 70 millivolt voltage exchange between our intracellular and our extracellular matrix, we can keep a general wellness about us. But as that starts to shift and change, as we start to drain our battery and our ability to hold that charge, we get sick. So from that level, we can look at cell biology and all the research that many wonderful people have done over the last, 30, 40 years. And you can even include Tesla in that as well, and Royal Rife, and all those wonderful people that were using electromedicine back in the 30s and getting wonderful results. But unfortunately, that type of research was stamped out because it's not a profitable model to treat people with electromedicine effectively, right? So we're now having a resurgence of this, looking at frequency and looking at the research of frequency. And we're seeing some really significant things. People are having profound results with using this type of medicine. And it's something that we need to explore, because a lot of people are in a lot of pain. There's a lot of chronic disease going on at the moment. And it's funny, isn't it? Because we live in the land of abundance. We have, clean water to drink, and we have really, great quality access to great quality food. So why are we all, well, not all of us, but a lot of us are developing chronic diseases, chronic metabolic diseases?
Right. Well, I guess it's where you get your information from as well, right? a lot of the mainstream channels, and social is mainstream now too, been infected by the same things that obviously we've got a number of agendas going on, and you are very subtle. I'll be a little less subtle in that somewhat Alan Jones-ish, I guess, if you will. If you're an Australian, you know who he is, but he's a hard-hitting journalist with a contrarian view that's not to the mainstream narrative, perhaps, but yeah, profiteering and money before people. And, going back to Tesla, I mean, if anybody wants to invest the time and doing some research, just go onto YouTube or whatever, or some of the documentaries you can dig up on Netflix, where Tesla was going to give free, in fact, Energy was going to give free electricity. I think it was JP Morgan funded him 150 grand. And the story in this doco that I listened to was he pulled the funding when he knew that he was developing something secretly on the side, using that funding to give free electricity to the world. And now we're talking about that again. The people that started in industrialized medicine, to Western medicine where we know it today, went and forced people like you, anything with a path on the end of it, homeopath, naturopath, all the other paths, they were sort of like shunted out of the village and burned at the stake almost, and you have, so Tesla and Einstein, who we know are not stupid, and we're working on some great stuff. This stuff hasn't come to the fore, but it seems like you're saying that it's changing now, and that some of this stuff's becoming mainstream. So what have you learnt around what's actually out there today around frequency medicine, for example? And these
there's a lot of research. If you type into YouTube shattering cancer with frequencies, you can watch an incredible 23 minutes where they actually film it on screen live under a microscope. You can actually see cancer cells being destroyed. Now, I'm not making any claims for treating any diseases.
Don't do that.
What we're doing is we're teaching people that there's other levels and layers to wellness. It's not just about taking vitamins, minerals, eating good food, going back to nature cures, which are, grounding, breathing properly, getting fresh air, sunshine, drinking plenty of good, clean water. Like, those are the basics. Think about it. We are actually moving away from that, where we're becoming very much indoor people. We don't get to, we're afraid of the sun. We've been taught to fear most things that make us healthy. So, and, there'll be many reasons around that. But essentially, Royal Rife. Royal Rife, he invented the world's most powerful microscope. And when he was actually showing them how frequency medicine, electromedicine could actually destroy microorganisms that were being harmful to the body, they destroyed all his work. And, he didn't get to see. Say again?
Why would you do that?
Well, we know why. Because it's not profitable, right, to do medicine that way. Yeah.
Other agendas. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Other agendas, yeah. So the
today, and on Facebook as well, it's been an interesting debate that I lit up. But anyway, go on.
Yeah. So if you go on again, if you search Royal Rife and microscope, you'd see an incredible piece of equipment that he developed, and it was just extraordinary. We could see things that we'd never seen before. So it's a world of, you can dive deep down the world of frequency research. Essentially, we're working with frequency that is on another level, because in my history of being a clinician, having my own clinical practice, I did a lot of research around frequency and invested in a lot of frequency devices. And the practicalities of using frequency are that we do need to charge ourselves up with this type of medicine on a daily basis. And there was sort of, in clinic, not a real practical way of being able to apply that. But the technology that we've come across recently, you and I, Tommy, is getting us all very, very excited in the healing world, because we're bioenergetically supporting people on a daily basis, and we can personalize and give people precision medicine that's especially right for them at that time in whatever's going on for them. They can be treating themselves at home, so we can give them sessions, but in between they can be using this frequency to support themselves.
Right. So how's it working then? I mean, what will the frequency do that, because you've got nutraceuticals, and okay, then if you've got electroceuticals, what are they doing different, or why is it better than perhaps nutraceuticals or whatever?
Well, as some of the mentors that I lean on a lot say, is that, we are actually more energy and frequency than we are matter. Okay, so that means that we need a paradigm shift in the way we view our body. We know that we can measure an energy field around the body. That has been proven. We can also use tuning forks to actually pick up different aberrations in this field that surrounds us. But I have been using a different way of describing it these days. We are actually a cluster of energy and frequency with a body, and not a body with an auric field or an energy field around us. We're actually more energy, and we can see that with the quantum science studies, where it's the power of the observer and the power of intention that actually gives us the output of the scientific study. So when you start to look at the science of quantum mechanics and quantum physics, you start to look at yourself in a different way and realize we're not just the flesh and blood, but there's certain collections of information that it is instructing our body. And so with that, when we're putting in frequency, we can shift patterns. We can shift things that might have gotten stuck in a train track. It can be related to the food we've been eating and the way we've been living our lives. For instance, the certain lifestyles that we're choosing, but it can also come back to our beliefs, perceptions, thoughts, and emotions as well. So it's a collective of the whole of us, and the way that we can use frequency to balance our body is to strengthen us in that way, whereby for me, if we're a piezoelectric battery that needs charging up, this frequency medicine becomes very important for giving us energy to charge our body up, because most of the time we've got lifestyles that drain our battery.
Right. Okay. And this is where, what are we, 50 trillion cells or whatever? So we're a bunch of cells that are connected, and one decides to be after a baby cell called a stem cell, but decides to become a brain cell or a blood cell or a nail cell or a skin cell, whatever. But inside there must be a battery in each. The what is it? The mitochondria, right? And so, obviously, this electrical stuff. Go on, please.
Oh, look, the mitochondria is amazing. And what we're doing with this particular type of frequency is we're not just using waveforms, we're actually using the science of microcurrent. Now, that's been shown to be very, very successful on a scientific basis. We know that using microcurrent therapy can increase the ATP production. That's just the way that our body produces energy in our mitochondria by up to 500%. So that's incredible. Like when we see chronic disease kicking in, we know that people have lost their ability to recharge themselves. There are many reasons why they're doing that, but stress is one of them. We're so hooked in to fear, to what's the right? How much is driving, and
you think?
Yeah, it's draining our battery, and that's why I switch off to mass media, because it's a conditioning of our mind, right? And I would rather be going internal and finding the truth within myself, as opposed to clutching to what I believe may be fact or fiction outside of myself, right? We are the best indicators of what the truth is, but
Right.
we're just not taught. We're not taught, and we're not conditioned to trust ourselves.
Well, we get so distracted and programmed into the system from whenever young, go to school and, without getting too controversial or switching from the narrative of how we've been programmed too much. So that people go, oh, what bullshit, conspiracy theorists, which is a very easy and convenient way to shunt an argument out the door, like they did with all the paths as many years ago. But, when you look at the fact that we're getting hit with so much information now through our phone and through the TV, and I don't want to be somewhat cliche because we're hearing this all the time now. The thing is, people are waking up, I think, right now. And a lot of these old ways and the old paradigm of doing things isn't going to be a gradual change. I think we're going to see a, if you will, quantum leap, right, in a change of what's going on in across the world in many areas, one being in medicine. And so this can be quite disconcerting for those that have had vested interests for so long in the old paradigm. I get it. But at the end of the day, it's about health of people and wellness of people, and them being able to take control back and own their own health and becoming educated in doing so. Hence, I've always worked with you and sort of helping me de-bullshit stuff. You talk about truth. We're both truth seekers, and I think that's what we identified on that same platform, where I bring certain nutraceuticals or something new and say, look, hey, Cherie, is this stuff okay? What's in this? And you go, oh, hang on, let's have a look. Let's check. And you go through the list, and, you're my decrappinator in that sense. And you're bringing me frequency medicine, and I'm the guy that measures stuff. And if I can't measure it, I can't speak the same language then that most of the guys that I look after and clients that are executives are programmed in that world. And I'm open to both, because just because you can't measure it or you can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. So I'm open to it. But the great thing is science is catching up. So go on.
Indeed, and we are moving into the era of test-based nutrition. So gone are the days where it's like, take this and, then we'll wait for your amazing testimonial. It's like we are in the age of information. We're in the age of technology. And we're also in the age of enlightenment, the age of Aquarius. It depends on which way you want to come at it. But all of those things are converging. They're all coming together. And what I believe is this is the quickening. This is the moment we've all been waiting for, where things can't go on forever the way they were. We need a rebirth, a new way of doing things, because the old way is clearly not serving many people. We're getting sicker and sicker. The biometrics...
Serving some people, Cherie.
Yeah, serving some people. So the biometrics, for you, I love what you do, Tommy. What you do is you're bringing the truth of it to people through their own personalized biometrics. That data is really important for people, because it's bringing themselves back to their own awareness. Instead of being completely switched off and just trudging through life like a machine and just getting shit done, like we're actually coming back to ourselves and going, oh my God, like my heart rate variability is doing this and my sleep is doing that. And it's just so important for people to understand that they can be their own healer. They can take back a level of what I would call, rather than control, empowerment around what's going on in their body and what's going on for them on an external level.
Right. I mean, this is something you can't outsource. I mean, sorry for the expletive, why the fuck would you give the most important thing that, if you want to exist as a human, before you're even a human being, if you're human doing whatever, and you're on your own evolution, but why would you give what I call the gyros or the kebab, right? To someone else, when you're the one that's got to look at the ingredients and what you're doing, and with that kebab, how you're looking after it. You're going to outsource the most important thing you have? I mean,
well, this is the problem.
Where have we been?
This is the problem, Tommy, and this is why it was quite frustrating to be in clinic, because we've been indoctrinated to believe that whenever you get a sore throat, whenever you get a cough or a cold or a flu or a headache that won't go away, we run off to the doctor, right? Instead of tuning in to our body and going, maybe I'm dehydrated, maybe I'm just too bloody stressed, maybe I just need to have a rest. You know, we've been taught to run around and go and get antibiotics at the first sign of an infection. We have not been taught how to look after ourselves in a natural way. Like, for instance, my kids have been brought up with a naturopathic mother, and every time they have something go wrong, it's like, right, let's go and get the hot water bottle. Let's go and have a rest. Let's drink a lemon and honey drink. Let's tune in to what's really going on, and we'll use something natural as a, you know, we'll try that first, right? And so most people haven't had that, which is unfortunate, because then they've lost the ability to tune in, and they've lost the skill in using natural medicine, which is the most powerful medicine that is on the planet, right? So this is where a lot of the pharmaceuticals come from. They come from nature. They're extracted, they're patented. They get one aspect of a whole plant, and they say, oh, okay, that's the active constituent, so we'll just give that. But what we're finding is this is why we have so many side effects from the pharmaceuticals, because they're not buffered with all the other plant constituents that actually stop those side effects from happening. We're also taught to clean and kill everything that moves, right? So now we've taken our kids out of the dirt, out of the sandpit, out of all of these places where they're teaching their immune system how to be strong, and we're weakening our immune system by not exposing us to bacteria and viruses and all the rest of it, right? Our immune system is fabulous at responding when it's actually got the cues and it's learned how to respond. So there's so many reasons why we're seeing what we're seeing, but I want to bring it back to something positive, right? And that is that we do have empowerment when you open your mind up to know that there are other very, very powerful things that can help you, and frequency is one of them. It's one tool that I use in my toolbox that is very, very helpful for people, and they feel the results immediately. This is not pie in the sky. It's like, oh my gosh, I can feel that working.
Right. So getting back to that, because as you know, tech has been my whole life, and the first chapter for 28 years in the corporate world, let's call it, the corporate paradigm, was to help businesses make more money. Now it's tech for, you know, helping quality of, not business so much, but quality of life. And so frequency, that's really exciting. I had my own thing I was talking about on the Better Tune In today on the beach. I was doing my usual walk, and how I had an experience of a unit that you loaned me, because I thought, this is getting a bit woo-woozy. I don't know. I'm open-minded. It sounds pretty interesting and novel, and for a week, I had my own experience. And I thought, whoa, that was at least enough for me to go, you know what? I'm going to invest in one of these, and I'm going to test it like I do with everything before I make any sort of an opinion around it. Data, right, is my thing. It's part of my biohealth type. Epigenetically, you would know better than me, right? And so I'm thinking, let's de-bullshit this. I want to find the truth and see if this is real, at least for me. And so, yeah, I had my experience. So tell us about it, because you say the story a lot better than me, because I'm kind of learning about this and I'm testing it now, right? Because I got my own. And I know these things were in high demand. This new fantastic health tech that has appeared on the planet to take frequency medicine into everybody's hand.
Yeah, and look, we're doing our own experiments as well. So we collaborate with a lot of people. We're in a technology group that is using technology for the greatest good of humanity, and we're doing tests with devices that measure brain waves. And so whenever we put on the device the frequency device that we're using, we can actually measure what it's doing in the body. So that is pretty profound. We're taking that to university level, and we're working with some of the top minds to actually show people how this frequency doing what it's doing in the body. You know, I just know from a personal perspective, it's been a game changer for me. And I know when you shared your story, I was sort of a bit disbelieving too. I'm like, take that photo again. You know, make sure it's at the right angle, because you had actually had a lump that disappeared on your thumb. And I was like, oh my goodness, you know, that is remarkable in 1 week to see a growth disappear. You know, for me, that was mind blowing. So I'm not surprised now with the way this changes people. I think it's just more educating people around what, you know, the paradigm shift that they need to actually understand that this does work.
Well, this is true. I mean, you know, I went for that week and I thought, okay, is this a coincidence, or is this actually correlated? And so, like you said, I managed to set up where there's going to be a testing done here at university level with bioenergetics, and working with a very soon to be PhD in quantum medicine. And we're going to have a team of biomed students, and he was in fact, he was the founder of, co-founder of Metagenics. If there's anybody who can formulate nutraceuticals, it's certainly that guy. And, you know, we're talking about Mike Curley here. And Mike had his own issues after he'd already retired. Years after he'd retired, money wasn't an issue anymore. He'd exited out of Metagenics, and he only found in the different dimensions, higher than the 3 dimensions of the world, and then frequency medicine. And I think he started trying to put his own unit together to come across this same technology. And so he was going to be part of this testing I'm looking to get in happening at the university to protect them at the moment. I won't mention them. But that's going to be super exciting because we're going to check further for correlation. But anyway, so there are some things for anybody else that wants to get involved in testing this, taking a little bit of a risk, and, you know, maybe playing with this themselves to go, okay, I'm having an amazing experience, because I'm hearing this constantly now of, you know, frequency medicine, and people like, was it Carolyn McMakin, I think her name is? What does she do? And yeah.
Look, she's her research has been profound, because she's actually used the model that the medical establishment used to measure pain pharmaceuticals. So she followed that model. She used frequency instead of the pain medication, and she found that it was 70% more effective than the pain medication that was being tested. And they were so shocked and surprised, they closed the lab down because they thought there was some shenanigans going on, and they reset up the experiment and they did it again. There's an incredible recording around her talking about the measurements of interleukin-6 and all these incredible inflammatory markers that they measured. So Dr. Carolyn McMakin's work is phenomenal. And, you know, just to show people using the science, the language of the Newtonian science, how this can actually work in the body. What I do believe is important is for people to have their own experience. So Tommy, my battery is going to die soon, so hopefully we don't get cut off. But essentially what I wanted to say to people is, look, reach out to us and have a personalized experience of this. This is so important that we need people to, you know, to just have the experience so they can feel it for themselves, because we can talk about it all day long. It's good for you to have your own personal experience with that. And I think you've dropped out, Tommy. Not sure if you have. Well, considering it's still live and I'm the one that's still here, I'm actually, I don't know if he's going to be able to hop back in. But folks, what I'll say is I'll finish up by saying, look, reach out to Tommy, reach out to myself. Let's give you an experience of this. You can, you know, just send a messenger message, reach out, and we'll organize your own experience of this frequency device. So this is actually a device called the Healy. And Healy uses microcurrent, and it also uses frequency. So it doubles over. It's very powerful, and it does an absolute multitude of things, anywhere from supporting the body to detox, to supporting your body to sleep. In Europe, it's a class 2A medical device. So we can actually help bioenergetically support the all systems of the body, but essentially we can use it for chronic pain, for fibromyalgia, for depression, for anxiety, from headaches, migraines, and sleep disorders. We can actually claim that it supports that. So hopefully this calls to you. Tommy's back on now. Hi, Tommy.
You gotta love StreamYard, and gotta love your laptop when it says it's got 20% left and then just decides to die at 20%. But anyway, thanks for continuing.
Right. Well, I continued on, but I've got 3% myself, so I may drop off. But what I did mention is for people to have their own experience, to reach out to you. And I also talked about the fact that it is a class 2A medical device in Europe. And it's TGA approved here in Australia. It's FDA approved in the States. This is the real deal. You know, this is taking people out of pain, out of suffering, and not just of their physical body, but the emotional, mental stuff that we generally don't get to a lot of the time. You know, we do it with psychology and psychiatry, with talk therapy, but that talk therapy is not going to be clearing the transgenerational traumas that people have been, you know, carrying down the line. You know, I don't know if you know that rat study, Tommy, but they looked at transgenerational inheritance, and you know, getting a daddy rat and inducing an emotional state, associating a smell with that state, and then when they bred the next batch of rats, they only had to give the smell to their baby rats, and it induced the same emotional state. So that's pretty important to look at too. Now, it is debatable, you know, some of the medicals will not, you know, acknowledge that is the case. But we know there's a lot of cleanup to do. We know that we're moving into the era of mass consciousness. People are waking up, and we need to clean up all this pain and trauma and, you know, all that stuff, right? And so the Healy will actually help with that as well.
Right. So bringing this to closure, I mean, look, the only way to really find out the truth is try it yourself, right? Like I do. I would say this is a worthwhile investment. I took the punt, and there's just there's too much data, there's too much information that supports this against what the common narrative can tend to be. And so, look, ping me on Messenger, Tommy Gallant, right here. It's probably the easiest way. In fact, do us a bit of a reveal, dare I say. It's being somewhat risque, Cherie. I think you've got yours on at the moment, have you? Getting a program running?
Oh, yes. So the little device just looks like this. So while I'm doing this live stream, I've been playing positive thoughts. So, you know, there's so many ways that you can use this little device. They're all the same. There is just an ability to access more and more levels and layers of programs and informations depending on the different types of packages. But Tommy, I think it's a really good time to tell people that we're in a really special time. We've got a worldwide global promo going on that you can save, nearly half the price, right?
I've never done this. I don't usually do this, right? I'm pushing product alone, but sometimes something comes out that's like, you just got to tell people. So once again, just find out for yourself. But they have got a promo on. This is why Cherie and I wanted to talk about this now, because anybody that wanted to have a look and a taste for themselves, this is the best time to do it. At about 25%, up to 30% off what it normally is to acquire the Healy device. You've got that opportunity right now up until, I think, the end of the weekend. So there's a few days there. But flick me a message on Tommy Gallant on Messenger, and I can steer you in the right direction if you want to take up the opportunity that's there.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much, Tommy. Thanks so much for having me on, because I really love talking about this. I mean, you know, my passion is to lead people towards themselves and empower themselves, so they don't feel like they're having to, you know.
I think she lost her phone. There we go. So, yeah, that's a great look up, Cherie. I've got to remove that. She'll kill me. So, yeah, look, guys, you've never heard me do this before. On a product point of view, I do bring products and I interview people that are founders of most of these companies. In fact, we're going to be talking to one in the next week or so around a device, and I don't want to reveal yet, but it measures brain frequency. We're not talking Muse, right, which is the one that's out there at the moment. Was launched a while back. But as a superhuman futurist, I'm always on the cutting edge and looking for the new stuff, and it tends to come to me. And this has. And I spent 6 hours with the founder and CEO yesterday, and I was blown away. And he is looking to launch this into the corporate world. He's been doing it with athletes, like golfers, well-known golfers. I'm not going to spoil it, but and he was doing that for a number of years in the US, and now he's heading into the corporate world as well. It fits quite nicely with where my current focus is on looking after executives under huge stress right now. Have been for a while, but right now to be super tough with what's happening around the world. And this thing goes on your forehead and it watches in real time and tells you what frequencies up and down, whether you're, you know, how much frequency of beta, alpha, theta, or delta, which is more your sleep frequency, or gamma, right, which is what the monks get to that are really good at meditating, and getting into those peak flow states around theta, alpha, and having all these frequencies working in harmony, right? We're all about bioharmony. But that'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Until then, you've got an opportunity over the next few days, up until I think the end of this weekend, to take the opportunity, if you want, to experiment with me. And I'm saying that because I'm not going to make huge, massive claims. I'll leave that to the regulators to do at the moment from a legal standpoint. But this product does have a TGA within the scope of what it measured for, TGA certification, FDA, and the European medical device class 2A, I think Cherie said, certification. So this is real deal, right? This stuff is like at least stamped by the regulators. And again, I know many agendas are always at play, and we only get the information that someone manages to get to us because maybe they're paying a higher dollar, whatever. The only way to find out is to have a look yourself and try it out. It's what I do, and then I go spreading the word of what my experience was and my beliefs, and I try to make that as much data-based and science-based as can be possibly delivered without having a multi-billion-dollar budget behind me to go and run, you know, placebo tests. And we're looking to do that with one of the universities up here in Queensland, which was going to be right now, but we delayed because we wanted to actually get more comprehensive in the testing that we're going to do, and to take that opportunity to do so with the right number of subjects and students that will be involved in this testing. So that's it from now. Thanks, guys, for jumping on. Thanks for enduring, the drop off. In fact, you probably enjoyed. You might have enjoyed the Cherie just being on her own anyway. Yeah, we will see you on the next Better Tune In. The small ones that we do on the beach, but weekly, trying to bring an interview to you as well to educate further on how you can bring your superhuman futurist self to manifest and being as optimally healthy as you can and performing at your peak in a sustainable way. Tommy G signing off. See you on the next one, guys. Bye.